Hi, we are from At Home Tuition. In this video, we are going to see few examples for verification of multiplication by zero, multiplicative identity and additive inverse properties of integers. We will see multiplication by zero. We know that any whole number when multiplied by zero gives zero. Observe the following product of positive integers and zero. So these are obtained from the pattern done earlier. So like our whole numbers. So I am taking the positive integer 3 and I am multiplying it with 0. So answer is 0 because we know any number multiplied with 0, our answer will be 0. So in the same way 0 into 4 is 0. 5 into 0 is 0. Similarly 0 into 6 will also be 0. So 10 into 0 will also be 0. This shows that the product of positive integer and 0 is 0. Now, observe the following products of negative integers and 0. So, we have seen positive integers and 0. Now, we are going to see negative integers and 0. So, negative 3 into 0 is 0 because 0 multiplied with any number will give us 0. So, 0 into negative 4 is also 0. Negative 5 into 0 is 0. 0 into negative 6 is 0. Negative 10 into 0 is also 0. So, these examples shows that the product of negative integer and 0 is also 0. So, in general, we can say for any integer a, maybe positive integer or negative integer, a into 0 is equal to 0 into a, which will be the 0. The result will be 0. Next, we will see multiplicative identity. So, we know that 1 is the multiplicative identity for whole numbers. So, multiplicative identity means whatever the number you multiply with 1, you will get the same number. So, for 0, whatever the number you multiply with 0, maybe integer, whole number, rational number, our answer will be 0. So, same way, whatever the number, maybe positive integer, negative integer, whole number, rational number. So, whatever the number multiplied with 1, our answer will be same number. So, for whole numbers, we have verified. So, check that 1 is the multiplicative identity for integers as well. So, let's observe following products of integers with 1. So, negative 3 into 1, it's negative 3. 1 into 5 will be 5. So, same way negative 4 when multiplied with 1, we will get negative 4. 1 into 8, we will get 8. And then 1 into negative 5 will be negative 5. 3 into 1 will be 3. 1 into negative 6 is negative 6. 1 into 7 is 7. So, if you observe all the results, so when you multiply the number with 1, so our answer will be the same number. So, this shows that 1 is the multiplicative identity for integers also. So, in general, we can say for any integer, maybe positive or negative, a into 1 is equal to 1 into a, which is equal to a. That is, when 1 multiplied with any number will give the result as the same number. So, now what happens when we multiply any integer with 1? Negative 1. So, previous case we have multiplied with positive 1 and we got the same number. Now, we are going to multiply integers with negative 1. So, let's observe this. So, negative 3 into negative 1. So, here we have two negative integers. So, if the negative integers are even, our result will be positive. So, plus, we are multiplying the integer 3 into 1, that is 3. Now, I am multiplying 3 into negative 1. So, here we have one positive integer and one negative integer. So, first we have to multiply the integers and we have to put the negative sign in the front. So, 3 into 1 is 3 and negative sign in the front will give us negative 3. Next is negative 6 into negative 1. So, here both the integers are negative. So, even number of negative integers. So, our result will be positive. 6 into 1 is 6. Next is negative 1 into 13. So we have first taking negative 1 and then we are taking the integer. So in this case also we have one positive integer and one negative integer. So we have to multiply the integers and we have to put the negative sign in the front. So 1 into 13 is 13 and it will be negative 13. Next number is negative 1 into negative 25. So here we have two negative integers. So number of negative integers is even. So our product will be positive. So 1 into 25 is 25. So it will be plus 25. So similarly 18 into negative 1. So we have one positive integer and one negative integer. Multiply the integers and put the negative sign in the front. So it is 18 into 1 is 18. And you have to put the negative sign in the front, so it is negative 18. So what do you observe? Can we say negative 1 is multiplicative identity for integers? So we know that multiplicative identity means if you multiply any integer with negative 1, you should get the same number, same integer. See, if you here multiply 18 with negative 1, you are getting negative 18. So if you multiply negative 25 with negative 1, you are getting positive 25. So same way if you multiply positive 13 with negative 1, you will get negative 13. So here negative 6 multiplied with negative 1 will give you positive 6. So we cannot say negative 1 is a multiplicative identity for integers. But if you observe the result, if your 18 is positive, then your result will be negative 18. If your A is negative and if your result will be positive. So we can say negative 1 is multiplicative inverse of an integer. That is A into negative 1, which will be equal to negative 1 into A, which will be equal to negative A. So it's a multiplicative inverse. Now let's summarize what we have learned. We have learnt about 0, positive 1 and negative 1. So 0 is multiplication of any integer with 0 will gives you the result as 0. So for any integer A into 0 is equal to 0. Next we will have seen about 1, positive 1. So 1 is the multiplicative identity for integers. That is for any integer A into 1 is equal to 1 into A, which is equal to A. So any number multiplied with 1 will give you the same number. Next we have seen about negative 1. So negative 1 is multiplicative inverse of an integer. That is for any integer A into negative 1 is equal to negative 1 into A, which is equal to negative A. So A may be a positive integer or any negative integer. So if you multiply that integer with negative 1, your result will be inverse. If it is negative integer, your result will be positive integer. If it is positive integer, your result will be a negative integer if you multiply that integer with negative 1. Hope you have understood what will be the result if you multiply any integer with 0, any integer with 1 and any integer with negative 1. Thank you for watching this video.